Hey guys, welcome back to a new episode of Interviewing With. I am Ashley from Are You Sure You Want to Do That? And today we have two incredible guests. You know and love them from LA by Night, Denver by Night, and Darkened Wish. Maylee Damage, B. Dave Walters. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you for having us. Oh, the
Yes, thanks
Peter
for
Brothers and the Heathens.
what? Yeah. Let me just say up front for my sparkly red nail polish, my girls like painting my fingernails, and I'm like, if such a simple thing makes you guys happy during this insane time, so be it. So this is where we are. This is where we live
You know,
now.
in
It's
a world where
beautiful.
red bottoms don't matter, just wear red tips.
I'm down for that.
So what are you saying, that I'm not supposed to mention that I'm also wearing my red bottoms now?
Oh, me too.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, these is bloody shoes, Sorry, I had to. Yeah. I
um,
had to do it.
it's okay.
Cardi B said do it, so I did it. Got it. Ready.
Um, you guys both have so much on your plates. Can you tell us a little bit about what you guys have going on?
You want to go first, Peter?
Oh, I'll talk our whole time here. Yeah, in case you don't know me, B. Dave Walters, I say words about things. I'm literally somewhere doing something 7 days a week. Let's see. As of now, the current lineup is Sunday. Well, I say mornings, but Sundays at noon Pacific. We do one-on-one shots. I did run through my first group of people, but so many people have asked to still do the show. Presumably, we're gonna do more, I guess. Sunday nights is Aegon on the Bard the Barbarian. Tuesday night, it's 6 Pacific, is Silver and Steel on twitch.tv/D&D Beyond. Tuesday nights at 8:30 is Outbreak Undead on Hunters Entertainment with Melee Damage. Thursday mornings is Ascension, a D&D actual play on Roll For It. Thursday nights is The Darkened Wish at 5 Pacific, also with Melee Damage. Fridays, Rage Across New York on Q Times. Also with Melee Damage. And when I'm not doing that, I run a metric ton of Patreon games and do assorted other things. And although you are listening to us in the future, hello, people in the future, I'm glad that you survived. I'm pleased to see the assassins have failed. Half of those things are still going on, and the other half are available on VOD now. And just follow me on Twitter at @BDaveWalters. I don't expect you to remember all that. I barely can, but I tweet constantly when I'm places doing stuff. So at @BDaveWalters on Twitter.
It's impressive.
Yo, it's insane is what it is, but here
You're
we are.
you're not even human. You really are a vampire.
I mean, first of all, that is an ugly myth. Vampires don't exist. The masquerade must be maintained at all costs. I, 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 I often go outside in the sunlight and eat human food, as people do.
And how about
Yeah.
you, Maylee? What do you have going on?
Yeah, a lot of those things that B Dave just listed off because we do a ton of shows together. So, yeah, Darkened Wish. What the Anarchs of New York has changed to what? What are we calling the new season?
It is currently Rage Across New York. Anarchs of New
Rage
York was
Across
the
New York.
kindred perspective. This will be the werewolf perspective.
And yeah, last season when we did vampires, that was actually very easy for me because like I had made a lot of characters and like DM'd a lot of games for like vampire already at that point. Sorry, ST'd, use proper terminology, the RPG snob. But in reality, I have not played Werewolf yet, so I'm very excited. If you're watching this from the future, I played it. I loved it. It was amazing. We whooped all the ass. However, right now in Todayland, as we're taping, very excited to actually get to play that. So yes, that A Darkened Wish D&D, which we do, which is based off of a comic that was written by B. Dave Walters with some beautiful, beautiful artwork by one Tess Fowler, who drew massive amounts of hair on a character that I then had to proceed to make into a wig in real life, which is currently under a little bit of maintenance. She's getting more coins. So she's getting put back together right now, which is fun. The wig has a life of its own. And Denver is coming back. It is not back currently. We are in August. I think it's coming back either towards the end of August or September for season 2, where I have an all-female cast playing vampire, and they are absolutely wonderful. It is dark and spoopy at times. It is twisty and turny and plots at times, and a lot of times with just our wonderful cast, it's also very funny. So we do have wonderful light moments that work their way in there. And hopefully by now, into Dayland, where you guys are watching, Long Beach by Night is hopefully back, and we are hopefully doing more episodes as my sweet little Lula Castile, my Malkavian, the Baron of Long Beach. She, yes, very much would like to find out if she can find the others that are living in her head. So, and yeah, in between that, I streamed some games. I just got done streaming Bloodlines on my Twitch, and that was fun. Probably going to do Skyrim or maybe a modded Bloodlines next. And I also run games on my Patreon for patrons. So if you guys are like, hey, especially you other storytellers, when you're like, I'm kind of like, I would like to play too, and I never get to do that, like, holler at me or B Dave. We both do this thing where we will run games for you and sometimes run games for like your group and give you a break, like as a DM, and let you actually sit back and have fun. So that's the thing we do with my Patreon. I also do like cosplays and stuff like that, and everybody gets together and votes, and I do either cosplays of some of the characters that I've created and or some of the beloved favorites of all of the comics of yesteryear, superheroes, horror movies, any of the fandoms that you can think of. I do adore, and I love making things. So oh, and I do music. I have new music coming out soon. It's probably already out by now. But yeah, lots of wonderful new music coming out.
Check out all of that stuff, guys. You guys are on so many different things. What got you guys started in TTRPG? B Dave, we'll go with you first.
I've been playing since I was 13, which was approximately 422 years ago. In 2020 time, like, the linear time is meaningless now. So it is what I have rejected linear time along with pants and all the other lies of the before times. So if anyone is keeping track, yes to the red bottoms, no to pants. Also, no to sleeves. We already knew sleeves were bullshit.
You have the right to bear arms.
Exactly. The right to bear arms. Literally bear arms. Like, I mean, don't hurt the bear, but like, if you can figure out a way to like get, yeah. And then paint the claws red. You see, there's a through line. There's a through line, so your claws match your shoes. You gotta coordinate. Yeah, started when I was 13. Right over there, just off camera, is my Crown Royal dice bag I've had since those times, with the dice I've had since those times. Started with Rifts, graduated to Dungeons and Dragons. That was when I fell in love also with my beloved Battlelords, was of a similar time. We did a stream for Battlelords of the 23rd Century. You can catch the VOD of that, the 4-part adventure we did. That was fantastic for the new edition of the game coming out. Then in college, got into the World of Darkness. I actually played Werewolf before Vampire. I began loving Werewolf. I came to love Vampire. So excited to revisit that world here in the stream, which again, you can watch now, future people, and see that May was amazing at it. And of course, it was a story of heartbreaking beauty and depth and complexity that even I did not know was going to work out as well as it clearly did. And just always stuck with it, man. Became was a big video gamer growing up and playing video games longer than I was playing tabletops. But there definitely there was times in my life where wasn't doing so much video gaming for whatever reason, especially when I got into the martial arts. A lot of the time and money I used to put into video games went into that. So there never was a time that I was like, I'm so over it. It's just how it worked out. But always played tabletop, always, tried to find time to get together as often as possible. Spent a lot of time doing nothing but Pathfinder. I ran a Pathfinder campaign from level 1 to level 20 that took us 3 years, but we did it. And then eased back into it as I got hooked up at Geek and Sundry and the streaming world, and that's a whole different story that I won't take up the whole time for. But yeah, that's how it started.
How about you, May?
Like I said, I do music, and I used to travel around a lot, and I was on tour a lot. And so I did not grow up playing tabletop games, but I grew up, and a lot of my best friends did. You know, like I had friends like in Orlando that loved to play D&D, and I had friends in New York that loved to play Vampire, and I would see them occasionally, but like it was never like long enough that it's like, oh, well, we don't want to just bring you in for this one game. It's going to be weird. We're in the middle of a campaign. And then occasionally, when I would play, like a little later in life, down in Orlando, I'd play some D&D, and it'd be like, well, you can fill in for this person. They're not here today. You can just play their sheet. So it still wasn't even really like
Mm-hmm.
creating a character that was my own. It was more like kind of like rolling dice and just being mechanical about it, which is fine. But I really do love the aspect of the role playing of it. And that like it just was dabbling until pretty much I got out here and then met B Dave and a couple of other friends in our circle, and just they were like, "Well, we will learn you the ways, uh, small child. We will teach you." And sure enough, I was very excited about this because all of my friends, had been doing this for years, and I really wanted to. And I was finally going to be in one place here in LA for like a while, and I knew I could get in on it, and I just loved it, and it just kind of took over my life slowly, but I let it. I went into the breeze. I leaned into the wind. It was great.
um, as storytellers, we are constantly trying to improve ourselves for not just ourselves, but for our players. And what advice do you have, or what is something that you'd like to improve as a
Let
storyteller?
you, I'll let you go first this time, May, so I don't give a protracted monologue because I'm about to.
So I am a perfectionist, and if you let me say what I would like to improve, again, like B Dave talking about his schedule, like I will be here for like the next hour, just like picking apart the things that I feel like I could do better as a storyteller. Um, uh, uh, it's so much so that I missed the first part of that question. ADD as well. That what is some advice? Was that what it was?
Or just something that you'd like to improve?
Um, hmm. I'm still trying to balance out the ratio between explaining and over explaining things. I'm still trying to get that ratio right between when I go in and I give them too much information that overwhelms them to the players where they like can't, they like don't know what to do, and also still leave things for them to like explore and find out. And sometimes gauging those ratios to me is a little difficult, and I try not, because I'm also that person that like when I give somebody a birthday or a Christmas present, like I want them to open it right then. So, like me as a DM, I'm like, I want to tell you all the things that are going on right now. Like, and I can't do that. So, to fight that urge to make you open the Christmas present too early, that is what I have to do every time as a storyteller. So,
How about you, B Dave? What is something that you like to improve?
um, I've been doing this so long, and I do it a lot. I've probably legitimately run more games of Vampire V5 than anyone else alive. I've run about four, maybe 500 sessions now, in
Wow.
addition to everything else. So I'm kind of comfortable with my style. I just would like to get more efficient at it, because to me, the thing that I'm always preaching is the storyteller slash dungeon master's job is to elicit an emotional reaction, to get your players feeling something, and it doesn't matter what it is. If they're laughing, if they're crying, if they're angry, if they're terrified, that they're engaged. You're doing your job. Your only enemy is meh. Your only enemy is people kind of zoning out and being on their phones. And for the record, you have the right to ban phones at your table if you so choose, by the way. Um, so that getting more efficient at figuring out what the people at the table are there for, because different people can be there for different things, and making sure I'm hitting those opportunities to give those people a chance to feel something. But if I had to give a bit of advice for people that are new storytellers, is just understand up front, you know, you're not Mercer, you're not me, you're not May, you're not Eric Campbell, you're not Ivan Van Norman, and none of us are you. So tell your stories your way, find your style and do your thing, and don't try and compare yourself to what anyone else is doing. Just pay attention to what you like in storytelling. And this is just storytelling advice. So this is equally applicable for DMs, writers, actors, whatever. As you're consuming stories, start paying attention to what resonates with you. The things that you love, don't just stop at I love it. Just be like, well, why? You know, what is it that made you care? What is it that made you hate something? Like, I hate Cabin in the Woods. I hated that stupid movie. And I know exactly why. And I try to be mindful to not do to people what I hated about Cabin in the Woods. So when you start paying attention to what's working in something, then you can duplicate it. Or if you start paying attention to what's not working, then you can improve upon it.
Do you guys have any pet peeves at your table?
Zoning out, being on the phone.
You don't like phones. I don't like interrupting. Like it's different if you get excited about something or you're like interrupting like an action that like you know, like the guy comes in and he goes to shoot you and you interrupt and you're like, no, I block. That's one thing. But like if someone's clearly in the middle of an action or in the middle of like a scene with someone and someone's just like, oh, I just rolled a 42, you're like, Jeff, it could have waited maybe 30 more seconds. So like that kind of, that's the thing that gets on my nerves.
Those are both very fair. Um,
And to be clear, I've been on the internet. I know there are people that'll be in chat. It's like, I'm looking at my character sheet on my phone. Yeah, okay. If you're actually using the phone as a tool that is relevant right then, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Okay. I mean, it's when you cease being engaged in what's happening, when you zone out of the narrative, especially even if it's just not your turn, there's still things happening that you should be aware of and still be there to support the other people in the journeys their character are taking, just like you want them to be supporting you. It's a collaborative art. You know? Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. Um, B Dave, you play the amazing Victor on LA by Night. Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration for your character and how do you get in character?
I've talked about this lots of times with people. The cast of LA by Night, all of us had different rituals to like get to that place. Some people needed literally hours to warm up and get into it, and you know we couldn't talk to some people or whatever. Alex and I are not like that at all. There were so many times like we literally were on set and we were talking about like Pokemon and stuff when they literally were giving us like the 10-second countdown. And we're just like blah 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 jib 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 jib. And they're like 10, 9, and we're both like, you know, and then it can just be there. The inspiration for Victor at the time, I was just coming off of We're Alive Frontier season 2, where I was playing Chateau, who ended up being the leader of an unruly band of rebels who didn't listen to things that were their own good and kept getting into worse and worse trouble because they didn't listen to reason. I know it's crazy. So when I made Victor, I very much was like, he's going to be not that dude. Like he literally was supposed to be not Chateau. That was my original inspiration for him. I didn't want him to be a leader. I didn't want him to like be this negotiator diplomat dude. I think we were 4 episodes in when he became Baron because I'm still me and I saw a chance and took it. I also knew that I knew I wanted to play Ventru. I've gone on record saying I got this Ventru dice box because that was always my clan. I was the first person in the world to have this. And I literally got like teary-eyed when I was the first person to have the new Ventru symbol and knew I was the one that was going to take Ventru into the 21st century and help define what it was. And that really meant a lot to me. So I knew I wanted him to be a businessman, but I also knew I didn't want him to be a criminal. because the black people only make money through crime was the trope I just didn't want. I was fine with him being in hip hop. I didn't want him to be doing anything illegal. Don't get me wrong. Within the framework of being a vampire, he's done mad illegal stuff now. But I didn't want like his money came from drugs or his money, money laundering or what. That he could just be a successful business person was important to me.
Absolutely.
And those were kind of the things that kind of got stirred in the pot. And the only reason he's an athlete is because I'm gigantic. So just being like, well, he played ball and then raised some money, got hurt, and that's how he went into music. And the original concept for the characters, he was supposed to walk with a cane, because even though his knee had healed because he's a vampire now, he still walked with a cane like Watson walked with a cane at the beginning of Sherlock. Like he just still kind of thought he needed it, especially because it'd be so dramatic when the Soaring Leap came out. Like when Yoda finally fought, he's like, oh, I'm all Yoda. Nope, work somebody. Okay, wait, I'm back to being Yoda. But
I just would hope that you would Willy Wonka walk out of the Maharani, though. Like you just stumble for a bit and then like double backward soaring leap, like drop.
Yeah. That's but in all the emotions and adrenaline of episode 1, I made 2 major mistakes. I gave the wrong age and I didn't mention the cane, and then it was sort of set in stone and we were where we were. So yeah, that's what happened.
Miss Maylee, you have the incredible Lula. Can you tell us a little bit about your inspiration for her and how do you get in character?
Some days are harder than others. It kind of depends on like the episode. Like if I know that like something emotional is coming up, like I'll try and get more into character. I'll listen. I have a little Lula playlist that I listen to help. But like if it's mostly just like a regular episode, not like a season finale or like something like that, for the most part I'm kind of like Dave in the fact that like we're talking about coffee and Batman right up until it's about time to start and then jump in. But I do love Lula. I do love Malkavians in general. They are probably my favorite clan. I'm someone who suffers from anxiety and depression, and so the mental health awareness is something that kind of like resonates with me very much. So when I created Lula to definitely try and show a non-fishmulk side of Malkavians, that they still could be a little zany, but not completely over the top. Because Lula is very sweet and she's very fun, and she's kind of like a Professor Trelawney, Luna Lovegood, what's her name from American Horror Story with the crazy red hair, Balenciaga. She Myrtle Snow. Like she's sweet, but she's sassy, and sometimes she says things that don't make sense until they do. And I do love her very, very much. I don't usually play a lot of sweet characters, and she was actually my one attempt at that, which is why, of course, I had to give her DID and then give her Genevieve, so that every now and then I could occasionally get a dark side out of her that was just pure evil. Have that true dichotomy, as science tells us, to every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So, and I like that she is that spectrum. I like that she is a whole spectrum. And she's really fun to play, and she is a character that is very complex, that honestly, as we play, I find that I learn more about every time we play. She surprises me, and I'm the one making the decisions. So
I would love to know more about both of you guys' thousands of characters. We just don't have enough time. So I have a couple of questions for both of you guys. Was there ever something a player did that shocked you or caught you guys off of guard at your table?
If you have one, go for it, May.
Honestly, I don't think I've had a long enough career as an ST to actually have one of those moments, because I've heard some of your Euripides moments, good sir, and I can't really think of anything that's like similar to those. But again, I've only been storytelling for maybe like a year now, so not a whole lot of options for those kinds of things to happen.
For me, I wasn't storytelling, but I was at the table. Episode 3 of Where Life Frontier, the end of episode 3 into the beginning of 4. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but like a truly bananas thing happens. Actually, now in retrospect, I realized I wasn't even on the show yet. I was just on the set, and I literally jumped up with my jaw open, and I was afraid my reaction was going to ruin the take. Actually, I think for me, it is times actually even just recently I had introduced access to a wish into a story, and through a very careful, they literally worked for 6 weeks wording their wish, because they know me, and I told them I'm from the Twilight Zone Monkey Paw School of Witchcraft.
I was in this game, I remember this was brilliant.
Yeah. And where I'm like, it'll do what you ask, but it will do exactly what you ask. So be careful, because I'm going to twist it. And they dropped, and they were fighting a big bad. They were fighting the biggest bad that I could throw at them. And they dropped that wish, and it was so carefully worded that I literally was like, they have all these screenshots of me like this.
Just like that. It's great. It's like you could do a whole rotoscope of just
yeah. I was trying to figure out a way.
Statue somewhere.
Yeah. So I was trying to figure out a way, but no, but they had it right. They had it right, and I let the ruling stand on the field, and they were so happy because they were able to beat this nigh unbeatable foe, which I made him nearly unbeatable on purpose. Like, I mean, I was like, there is a way, but I wanted it to be hard. He was my Darth Vader, basically. And no, they figured out a way that I was caught 100% flat-footed there. That was, and I'm hard to trip up. No, but they got me there. And that happened relatively recently. Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
But I will tell you, I don't remember exactly how they worded it, but they essentially took his powers away. But they worded it very, very, very carefully.
Oh.
I made him like, I'm like, give it to me in writing. I'm all like, just thinking like, and they just depowered him essentially. And then, the fight became very one-sided, very abruptly. Yeah, but that's how they did it.
That sounds like a remarkable game.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. Yeah. It was a whole thing.
What do you think is the difference between D&D and Vampire?
Oh, thank you. So I'm still learning how to DM D&D. I think in a world of new DMs, new storytellers, Vampire's a bit easier because you don't have a bunch of lore to learn and names of monsters and things that you don't know. And D&D's definitely more like to the point, like you like having minis because you can see, you move so many spaces, you do so many things. Vampire takes place in modern world, and also depending on your skills, you have dice pools that you can really do anything as long as you have a dice pool to support it. You don't have like, you can only move 30 feet, you can only, it's like, I want to run over there and hit that guy. Okay, we'll roll this and see if you succeed. So like it's I feel like as a newer storyteller, Vampire's a little easier to grasp onto, but D&D is definitely worth learning along the way, because that's the go-to standard for like everybody. So if you know how to DM and you know how to play D&D, you're always going to be able to find a group, and you're always going to be able to find somebody to play with. And I'm still learning D&D right now, and I think I'm starting off with a little Strahd. Reading some Curse of Strahd.
Oh,
thinking
That's
about maybe running a campaign. It might be my first. So
it's I'm trying to convince her to do Strahd because
Do it.
yeah, because Ravenloft historically is not my jam, you know. So I'm like, you know, just respect for Strahd, of course, you know, but
and you
yeah,
did say that if I ran it, you would play in it. So
I believe those are words I said out loud. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah. Well, and you know what's funny is I haven't read Curse of Strahd. Like when the big adventures come out, I don't, unless I run it, I don't read it because I'm like I want to be able to preserve my own experience if I play in it. So
Fair.
I mean Strahd has become so ubiquitous now. Like there's definitely some elements of the campaign that I know because everybody just sort of talks about some things. But I mean I don't actually know what happens either. And I'm looking forward to it. Have to get the Beatles and Grimm new Strahd set coming out. Like we'll do it pinky up. We'll do it like luxury. Um, for me, I think the difference between the two is I mean, there's kind of two answers. There's a mechanical answer and there's a spiritual answer. And the first one is which fantasy do you want to live? Do you want to live the Lord of the Rings or do you want to live Blade? And that's uh Blade slash the Matrix, pending which World of Darkness game you're in, and that's valid. You know, it's just which experience are you trying to have because they are very different.
Right.
Second to that is mechanics thing. You know, some some DMs will explain it and narrate it differently, but Dungeons and Dragons is an explicit system. You can do what it says you can do and nothing else. If it says you can jump 30 feet, you jump 30 feet. If you're like, can I jump 50? You cannot, unless you have a spell or something else that makes it that way. Um, the World of Darkness and Vampire is implicit. The idea, like what May was saying, is you can try anything. You're like, it's like, can I do this? It's like, let's roll it and see. Like, I mean, 6 successes. I guess you can. It says outright in the book in Celerity, the super speed power, where it's like, how fast is fast? The answer is fast enough. This game, like that's the answer. And I think that's cool. And again, to her point, what she was saying before, it's easier to understand the modern world. It's easy to understand you're in Times Square. You may or may not understand what it's like to be in Waterdeep. Even as I explain it, it's still going to be in your own head what it's going to be, which is still valid. But when I'm like, a bustling bazaar full of fantasy merchants, we're all going to see different things. Yep. I'm like, Times Square. It's Times Square. Also, now there's a werewolf, so
he's on the red steps.
Right. Dun, 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 dun. But is the werewolf wearing red bottoms? That's the question.
Just the tips.
Thank you guys for that insight. Before we get to the games, I have a question for B-Dave. You have a documentary coming out, don't you?
I do. Currently crowdfunding for it on Indiegogo, pending when you're seeing this. Maybe I still am, maybe I'm not. Called Dear America from a Black Guy, trying to foster some meaningful conversations. Because right now, on the path that we're on, just kind of yelling at each other isn't working. And we need to get back to a place where maybe we don't agree, but we can just acknowledge the baseline humanity of the other person. You're a human being. I'm a human being. At least let's just talk with that much in common. And then, maybe try and find other things that we have in common that we could build off of. Doesn't mean we're all going to get along. Doesn't mean we're always going to agree. Doesn't mean everyone is right. They are not. Some people are super wrong. But it is still important that we be able to have a meaningful dialogue because people are literally dying now. Absolutely. Literally dying because the simplest things have become politicized and you just are so intent on not agreeing with the other side that you do things that put yourself and everybody around you at risk, and that's insane. So I got to find a way to help bridge some of those gaps, and that's basically what the documentary is about.
I'm absolutely looking forward to watching it when it comes out and sharing it. And I couldn't agree enough with everything that you just said.
Yeah, it's pinned at the top of my Twitter. So it's this Dear America from a Black Guy on Indiegogo, or you can go to my Twitter at bdavewalters, see it right at the top.
You guys gotta go check that out now. Are you guys ready for a few games?
Let's do it. I don't even know what that means, and let's do it.
I'm gonna need both of you guys to stat yourself and give yourself a class in real life.
In real life.
Your in real life stats and class.
It's funny, we've been playing so much Outbreak, like my mind gets around that. But no, I'm gonna do World of Darkness stats.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, I'm ready.
What do you got?
I would say, here's the problem. I'm so good at everything. No, I would say that I'd be, social. I'd give myself honestly 3s across the board. I don't have any like major dump stats because I've spent years trying to fill in some of those holes. And I'd give myself a 4 in charisma and a 4 in wits. 3s in the rest of them.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, for obvious reasons, we pretty much know who you are. But what is your is it class or for vampires? Are you gonna change it up?
No, there's categories of skills, across the World of Darkness. I would say I'm probably first and foremost a social care, because there's the physical, social, and mental stats, and physical, social, and mental skills. I'm a social person. I'm a real life bard to mix the to mix the metaphors there.
Well, what type of vampire are you? Are you Ventrue? Are you Lysandra?
Ventrue.
For obvious reasons.
No. It's I didn't choose the clan chose me. Yeah, Ventrue. Mm-hmm. Although respect to Lysandra, yeah, but still.
Miss Melee, what would you do?
I'll stick with the theme of World of Darkness since we're already there.
Okay.
Let's see. First of all, clan-wise, I would be a Malkavian masquerading as a Toreador that somehow picked up a Lysandra Bane. That's what that is. That is 100% what I am.
Accurate.
Probably, I want to say down the middle on social and strength, definitely, but because of I'm always in my head, and I'm a slightly anxious person, but I think a lot, and I am pretty smart, and I'm very witty when it comes to, I like being able to do cool things in games and think of weird ways to solve things. So I'm probably definitely more of a mental based character than anything else. I have my socially awkward moments for sure, but yeah.
Okay, both of them sound like
that's the Malkavian part.
I love Malkavian. Next, I need you guys to pick your perfect party of 4. You guys are the storytellers, and you guys get to pick 4 people from any walks of life.
Wait, are we two of the 4, or 4 in addition to us? And is it our shared 4 or 8 total?
We'll say 8 total.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are not a part of that. You guys are the storytellers. I'm sorry.
I got my 4, but I'll let you go first.
If you got yours, you go first. I'm still thinking of mine.
I'm gonna say it so fast. That's why I'm gonna stall. I'm slow talking here. Batman, Darth Vader, the Doctor, Marcus Aurelius.
That sounds like a really bad ass game.
See, now fictional characters are allowed. Now there's a whole new world that's been opened up to me, and I have too many options.
Oh, I thought I was the weird one by bringing a real person. I just thought the assumption was fictional characters, and I made it weird. Yeah.
Like, well, if we're going here, Deadpool.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
let's see. Who else would I really like to play games with? Oh, this is a rough one. See, because I feel like my goals to like run a game, like kind of my dream team came together for Denver by Night, like in reality, and I hadn't really thought if I could play like D&D with anyone in the world. This is not, see, I'm one of those people that takes lists very seriously. I have to think about this and come back to you. By the time this interview airs, I will give you a detailed 4-point list of pros and cons of why I have chosen these people, but they will be my concrete ultimate four. Also, probably like Steven Tyler's on that list. I really like Aerosmith.
Would you like some help extracting from known data points that I know about you?
Sure. Let's let's have B-Day put together my dream.
Apparently we got Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
Apparently we got Deadpool.
Yeah.
Harley Quinn.
Oh yeah.
The Joker.
Yeah, Harley and the Joker. I don't know if I would want to play with the Joker. I feel like he would be that person that it's like, I set the blacksmith on fire. And you're like, could you not though? Don't be that guy right now.
You
like,
already brought Deadpool. Like that ship is sailed. Like, I mean, yeah, okay, all right. So the Joker's out, but we're keeping Harley. So we got Steven Tyler, Deadpool, and Harley.
Yeah.
Clara Bow.
I'll trade her for either Elvira or Dolly Parton.
Well, you can't be Dolly Parton. She wins. So Elvira.
There we go. All right. Yeah.
If Dolly's the last boss, you guys are screwed, by the way. So we got Elvira, Deadpool, Harley Quinn, Steven Tyler.
Yeah.
Walk into a bar.
Amazing. I love it all so much.
Curveball. Do you love Steven Tyler more than you love Dolly? Because otherwise, maybe she gets hissy.
Is he playing the harmonica? Because that very much depends on how much I love him.
Dealer's choice. This is your fantasy.
If he's playing the harmonica, he must die.
Well, I mean, I think we both know he's that dude that he's just sitting somewhere at random and pulls it out and starts playing it. I think we all intrinsically know that about Steven Tyler.
Dolly wins at that point. With her giant long nails picking her guitar that I don't even understand how she does that. She's amazing.
And I say
she has red tip claws.
She does. I say that because all dudes that can play the harmonica are that dude, first of all. Second of all, I found out recently that it's either 76 or 79, that she wrote Jolene and I Will Always Love You on the same day. Yep. It's like, damn, Dolly, like that was a low point, sister. That was a low point. But hey, apparently it worked out. So I digress. Yes, there's our super teams.
They sound amazing, and I hope we can get that on Twitch. We are getting very close to the end of our interview. I have one last question, but before I ask that and put one of you guys on the spot, can you guys plug any of your stuff? Earlier you mentioned all of the shows that you're a part of. How can people find you?
After you, ma'am.
Oh, so yeah, I'm just Melee Damage on all of the socials. So just my name, MAYLEIGH, and Damage. So anything that you look me up on, be it Twitch, Twitter, Patreon, Redbubble, whatever it is, it's always /Melee Damage.
At B. Dave Walters, again, on Facebook. B. Dave Walters is my fan page. If you put the number 2 after it, it's my profile. Yeah, even I don't know what I will be doing by the time this airs, because the phone rings and I just say yes to stuff. So just follow me on Twitter at B. Dave Walters, and whatever is happening that day I'll be talking about it. Yep.
As storytellers, GMs, and DMs, we are always coming up with stuff right on the spot. I will let one of you guys send our adventures off on a quick adventuring hook. How are you going to send your fans on their merry way?
I'll let you take this one, BD.
believe it or not, um, at the risk of making it a little too real, but I think it's worth saying, the adventure now is registering to vote, participate, get involved. That's the adventuring hook. A corrupt and devious minor lord has established a stranglehold on the kingdom, and you alone are capable of restoring justice and balance, because the battle of our time is in November. So prepare yourself, verify your reservation, your voter registration now. Find out where your polling place is now. They've closed a lot of them. They've purged a lot of people. They're going to make it difficult. Prepare yourself. And quite frankly, gather your adventuring party that day, aka everyone you know, and get them to the polls and do what you have to do, because your country needs you. You want to be a hero? You want to save the world? It is actually here. It is actually now. Vote.
And to add to that, you actually can take steps to go above and beyond. Poll workers are in short numbers. You can volunteer to do that. You can also volunteer to be someone who passes out the registration for people to vote. You can stand out. You can do what's called canvassing, going around for your cause, which is every election. Anytime you have like a cause that you want to get on a ballot of some sort, you can do that. You go door to door and you get petitions signed, and there's organizational groups all over in whatever city that you are in that you can reach out to, and they send little teams out and send people door to door to do that. So if you really feel like you want to get like super involved in the cause, there are ways that you can get out there and get people voting, and are ways that you can show up to support the polls. I believe, as Trevor Noah was even saying, there's a lot of people that are elderly that usually work polls, and because of Corona, of course, they cannot. So, hey, young people, we need you more than ever. So get out there, volunteer, do your thing if you have the time to do it, and be a part of the change.
I couldn't agree enough. I'm already gonna be on that quest.
Amen. Do it.
Thank you both so much for being a part of Are You Sure You Want to Do That's interviewing with. We appreciate you guys' time, and check them out. I will put all of the links and stuff in the description box below. And thank you, adventurers, for sticking around and watching a few nerds sit around talk about their love for TTRPG.
It's Ashley.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah,
This was very fun, and yeah, anytime you need us, we will be at your side, shield and sword.
You have my bow. Hmm?
Thank you guys so much, and we will see you, adventurers, next week. Bye.